So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are live with myself, Simone Millises, and Miss Emily Evans Russell. Never really looked at you with your whole name like that. Didn't know that you did that.
Sometimes I change it up. Yeah, it's a little bit long, but thank you for having me.
It's actually not. I just did a podcast with Sergey from Russia, and I was like, holy shit, how do you say your last name? It's like, so that's easy. Emily Evans Russell. Yes.
Miss Simone, lovely to talk with you about anything that has to do with business and creation, because I will say you are the woman that has inspired me the most and empowered me to actually get that business is something that we all know about because we're all alive and awake and creating our lives.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know, it's like I just have handy here. This is a book that I wrote called Joy Business, and it's in 16 languages. It's also an Audible in quite a few languages. In English, it's in my voice. And one thing I want to say is if you've been avoiding using access consciousness tools in business, what if today was the day that you demanded something different? Because I notice when you, and you guys probably notice this too, when you avoid something, it's like, you push it at this distance away and you're continuously pushing something away. And what if it's about receiving this and going, hey, I have no idea what this is going to look like. But what if I just dove in and got rid of all my judgments and my limitations and went, well, what is possible with this? Like we had a meeting this morning, and Emily is also a fellow JCF, we call it, a Joy Business Facilitator. And we had a catch up this morning, and it was so awesome to have everyone on there. But one of the questions I was asking them too, it's like, what's your judgment about you being in business? Because so many people have a judgment about themselves being in business that they're not, doing it right. They're getting it wrong. They don't have a degree. They can't, and look at all that stuff constantly of what they've decided that they're not. And I'm going to invite you, what if you flip the script and you started looking at your capacity? So I remember when we first started working together, actually, I think the first job with Access was with me, right?
Yeah.
With Joy Business. So what happened with that? I think it's hilarious.
So I had been, I learned about access consciousness, and Joy Business, the book you just held up, was one of the first books I came across. And I had decided, talk about what you are not, that I knew nothing about business because at the time I had 2 little girls and I was a stay-at-home mom. So I thought, how does that relate to business? But yet it was the book that I had the most underlined and little dog ears on every page. And was playing with everything, but thought, this speaks to me, but it probably doesn't apply because I don't own a company. And then as I was sharing just my excitement with the world online and social, so Miss Megan Hill, who works with marketing and social media, contacted me and she said, hey, we actually require someone to work with Joy of Business and their social media. Would you be interested? And I was so excited and terrified because I thought, oh God, I don't know anything about business. Are you serious? This is the only thing they have to hire me for?
Doesn't she know that I'm a stay-at-home mom? Doesn't she know I've already defined myself? Doesn't she know that that's not possible? My God, this woman is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like that. But then I, of course, said yes anyway. Because I was like, I will learn and choose it. So that's one thing I learned is just say yes. And we know so much more than we think we know. So my very first meeting I have with you, I remember coming on Zoom and I had to drop my kids at like daycare. So I, don't have my camera on. I have one ear AirPod in listening. And, and I'm just like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm horrible. I can't do it. And as the meeting went on, you asked me with this space of question of, wow, what do you know about business? What do you know? What do you know? I'm so curious. And just left it open. And that changed my world. And from there, and that's what I've seen you do, the Joy Business Facilitators, that book. I mean, someone wrote in the chat, that book has changed my life because it starts to open up this space. I mean, especially for me, where I got curious about what I might know because I had decided so much about what I didn't or couldn't do in that area based on how this reality presents business.
Oh God. And based on this reality and how it presents business, guys, you know so much more than that. Like one of the first classes I went to with Gary Douglas overseas was a business class. It actually was the first class I went to. And at that time, I realized I was in debt. I didn't know how much, but I knew I was creating my life to be a financial mess. And my amazing, beautiful father said to me, because I said, I'd only heard Gary speak once. And I was like, I want to go to this class. And he was like, well, it's going to cost you a whole bunch of money to go, class, tickets, accommodation, etc. He said to me, he was so smart. He said to me, I think you need to go to figure out if this is what you want to do with your life. Right. And he said that. I was looking at it as I want to go to this business class so I can increase my current business. But in hindsight, I always look at that. I mean, my dad passed away about 9 years ago. He knew. He knew that I was going to this class and that access consciousness was probably going to be, or is, like this major part of my life. And I started working with access. And I was so grateful to go there. And listening to Gary talk, I remember sitting in the front row, like a little kid front row. I was like, yes, I'm so attentive. And everything he was talking about, I was just like, oh my God, this guy is talking about everything that I know and everything of how I want to be in the world. And yet nobody else is talking about it. Like it was so simple, and it was so much ease and so much of that sense of space, as you just mentioned. And yet I was surrounded by people like this reality sort of going, you've got to have your projections, you've got to have this, you've got to have that. And it's like, if you're not doing it this way, then it's not right. And hey, I'm not saying don't have projections. If that works for you and it contributes to you creating something greater, then go for it. Like, have these moments where you go, this is what I'm asking for. Like, maybe look at it in a different way. But what I would like to invite all of you listening to this now and in the future is ask yourself that question of what I asked Em ages ago. What do you know about business? Like, what do you know about business? And I love that you say that you were this stay-at-home mom, because how many people lock themselves into something?
Yeah.
I'm a stay-at-home mom, and it's like, and whether you choose it, I mean, obviously you choose it, but whether you choose to enjoy it or not, you lock yourself in. I'm this stay-at-home mom. Oh, I don't own a company. Like you said, I don't own a company, or, I'm a secretary, or, I don't know, I'm a butcher. It's like, I'm a gardener. And it's like, how many places, how many jobs and places and definitions have you locked yourself into, and you've decided that's it. This is, this is me in this lifetime. This is what I have to choose. And what I'm going to ask is everything that is, everything, every ounce of that, every like part that you're hanging on to desperately so that you can, try and control and predict your life, which, breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, you can't. It's like, will you please destroy and uncreate everything that is?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, provids, and beyonds. And that's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, which you can find out more at theclearingstatement.com if you choose. But this is about like really knocking down those walls and those blowing up, fracking all of those limitations that you have, and knowing that there's something different. So you came from this like, stay-at-home mom, being a great mom, doing this job. Where are you now, Em?
Well, working in so
you didn't get rid of the kids. You still have the kids.
Still have the kids. I added a couple dogs. I added like growing my own business as a facilitator, working with access consciousness in different ways. But you know what was so funny, that one of the things you say is you talk about business being a creative, like a playground for creatives, for humanoids that are looking for something different. And I had never, when I had myself in the box of stay-at-home mom, I had never correlated creativity in other ways with business. I thought business was owning a company. So when I was a stay-at-home mom, I had so much energy to create. So I would cook like 5-course meals and be doing all this, and now in hindsight, I realized I had so much energy and so much creation. I didn't know what to do with it when I wasn't working. Yeah. And so now you were such an invitation to realize that creativity, when you talk about business, you truly mean when you wake up in the morning and you say you have blood in your veins, you're in business. That did not make, Simone, that quote did not make sense to me at first. I was like, what do you mean? Now I get it.
So I'm going to just say it again, just for
Yes.
people like, what the hell is them talking about? I've always said, if you have blood running through your veins, so if you can hear us, that's a yes. I'm just going to answer for you. It's like you're in business because your whole life is your business. And then your business is your life. Because when you wake up in the morning, it's like, how do you be? Like, what do you choose? For me here, when I wake up in Australia, it's a really interesting energy because Europe is still awake and America's awake, and we work worldwide. So if you could choose to just go, oh God, I'm awake, okay, and then dive into the million platforms and WhatsApps and the creation that's been going on, whilst I sleep, or what I tend to do here is just go, okay, it's like wake up. And the first thing I do too is just put my hands on my body somewhere and just be like, hey, body, and just have a little conversation. It could be 2 seconds, it could be a minute, depending on what's going on. And then ask the question of where is my energy required today, which is such a potent question because how many of you think that you have to, act upon all of your Skype, WhatsApp, telegrams, emails, etc. And it's like, what if that was not true? What if everything you've ever been told about business you found out was a lie? And what if it's far easier and more malleable? And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this or not, but I want you guys to have a look at, in your current point of view about business, right? You go, okay, it's here. Like, how different is it to others? Right? Now, be in that energy. How different is it to others? And then when do you go, oh, I'm going to pull myself back because I'm being a little too different? And can everyone hear this or perceive it? Or I'm about to step out of being normal, right? Now, get that energy of wherever that is for you. And some of you, it might be really close. Some of you, it might be geographical. Like you might be really comfortable doing business in your city, your state, your country, or it might be an amount of staff. It's like that's the barrier you hit. I've got 2 staff, can't have more than 2 staff. That would be too much responsibility. Like whatever insane point of view you have, or it could be, expanding into a different product, or it could be, becoming a certified facilitator of access or anything, but where's that point that you've already created this barrier, you've already created this limitation, right? So you don't need to work out exactly what it is. You hit it and you go boop, and it's like you hit it, right? So what I would like to do is put your attention on that, and let's just frack that insanity that you are not able to be everything and so much more than what you're currently choosing. And on 3, let's just destroy and uncreate everything that is. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys, privates, and beyonds. Now go a little bit further. Go a little bit out. Now, do you notice that it's not as controllable? It's more undefinable. And there's more space. But how many of you start to do that freak out thing and you go, but I don't know what's going to happen there. So you start to pull it back in and go, oh, this I can control. I can control 2 staff. I can control making just enough money to pay the bills. I can control being a stay-at-home mom, and that's it, even though I'm incredibly creative and I'm cooking these 5-course meals that nobody really wants to eat. And you just like got your freezer full of food because, it's like you like cooking, you but want to be creative, but you don't know what else to add to your life. And everything that is, will you please destroy and uncreate it? And what if it was time to start being out of control, out of definition, out of form, structure, significance, out of concentricities, out of linearities, and out of limitations with you in business and your life? And everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it? Yeah. Right and good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys, provids, and beyonds. What if you woke up in the morning and went, okay, who am I today, and what grand and glorious adventures can I have? And what is it that I would truly like to choose to be in the world? What could I contribute? What action could I take that would create more joy in my world? Because if you create more joy in your world and you know who you are, it's just going to like ricochet across the entire planet. What if it was that easy and that like malleable? You're able to change it every day. In every moment.
And can I, Simone, those questions that you're just rattling off, and if you guys are watching and you're familiar with Access or the Joy Business Book, there's so many questions. And they are such an invitation. One moment of presence with a question like, where's my energy required today? just energetic presence. You're not going for a cognitive answer even and then letting it go. Is it one of those things that's not controllable, it's not figure outable, it's not definable, and it grows your world and your business so much that I hadn't seen anything like these tools for business and creation until I found Access Consciousness. And sometimes it's like, you just ask the question. Yeah. Just ask these questions.
You don't have to find the answer. You don't have to get it right.
Weird. I know.
So it's so funny. We came on here and, you know, I love talking with Em, and she's got such a good way of, like, you know, being in question with you and with topics, etc. So this is how we originally started this. And then we came on and went, oh, I'm interviewing you. And I went, I have no idea. What are we doing? Like we maybe we're doing that, you know, and where we just went, it's like, that's totally following the energy, right? It's like, so what if you were willing to follow the energy with your business and with your life? Like you do wake up and as Em reiterated, that one question of where's my energy required today? So I personally would love to invite you to check out the Access Consciousness tools in business, because I know for myself, I had a point of view that the Access Consciousness tools with money were dumb and stupid. Like I really did. But what I know now is it was going to change everything for me. And I was in so much debt. I mean, that's the second book I wrote, Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. Don't have one here on my table, but that's the second book. Yeah. And I knew I had stuff going on with money, and I knew that I wasn't willing to be aware of my finances. And I organized this class one day with Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, and Dr. Dane Heer, co-creator. I organized the class. I organized it. I invited them out here to do a money class, right? So I'm sitting there in the audience, and here these guys are talking about, you know, these Access Consciousness tools with money. And I hear in my head literally going, oh, here we go, blah, blah, blah. Here's these tools about money again. And then I sat there and went, this is interesting, because I loved Access and every tool I was using was working. Then I went, why am I not using the tools with money? So I went, me being me, I went, I'm going to pick 3 tools. And I picked 3 tools, and I made the demand for 3 months. I was going to use those tools and see if something started to change. And it did. It's changed my financial reality. So if you have this resistance to using Access, what's that?
So this is a big one. What you resist.
Yes. It's like, if you have this resistance to using the Access Consciousness tools in business, what if this was actually going to change the most in your life? Because we ask for change. Like, most of you ask for change. But when it shows up, if you can't control it or take it in baby steps, you tend to go, oh my God, it's like riding a horse and pulling it back and just being like, whoa. And it's like, what if you let go of the reins and go at a dead run and know that you're going to be okay? What if you run full on head onto, you know, using the Access Consciousness tools in business and find out that maybe you're actually really great at it? Maybe you know, as we mentioned right at the beginning, maybe you know way more than what you've been willing to acknowledge.
So beautiful. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but that when you talk about that, and I have found that over and over again, here you are using the tools in every area, and in the area of money, that's where you resist. And I have found it's the areas I resist using something or have decided I so don't know about that or cannot do that, that it's actually where I have usually the most capacity for change. So that's been a fun thing to look at. If I'm really digging my heels and resisting, like asking a question, wonder if you just made a little choice in that direction, what it might change.
Yeah, and hopefully me and Em talking about this is helping you make a different choice, right? You know, we took one for the team. It's like, I resisted money tools for so long, and then now I have money, and it's like, I don't have a problem with money. I never had a problem with money. I just wasn't willing to use tools and have the awareness with it. So what if you can change any area of your life that you think is not working for you? What if the part that you think is not working for you is a total lie? It's like, what else is actually possible? I also want to invite you guys, like we'll, you know, not slow this down, but we'll stop this live soon. But I did a series of videos that have some really cool basic, well, I say basic tools, but it's like small tool, big change. Let's say it like that. Small tool, big change. And I think there's like 4, 5, 6 videos.
Yeah, 5.
I did them like for the practitioners, facilitators, etc. of access consciousness. But in truth, it works for everyone. Okay, these tools work for absolutely every business. So I think they've just put down there on the side in the chat where you can go to get that. I think it's on the Joy Business playlist, is it?
Yep.
So but go find them and start using these tools, because it's just like this one little thing that you change, this one molecule, this one twist, this one changing of the script, and it can make your life way easier. I mean, the mantra of access consciousness is all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory. Well, what if it's time, this time, right now, auspicious day, ladies and gentlemen, that you started embracing that, all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory, and start having way too much fun. That's a big ask of myself. Let's bring on the joy.
Joy and business.
Yes.
Which I love. You always say your book is translated in so many languages, and every time you go to translate it in a language, you say, this doesn't make sense in our language. It doesn't make sense in English either.
English either. Joy of business. It's like people are like, what? And it's like, and also the getting out of debt joyfully. People are like, getting out of debt. I do these interviews and they go, getting out of debt joyfully. I'm like, yeah, why would you not choose to do it joyfully? Like, it doesn't have to be this, like, oh my God, it's like, no, let's make it fun. Like, it's your life. You get to choose trauma and drama, or you can choose to have more joy in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which is why, Simone, you facilitate, and all the Joy Business facilitators facilitated class called Business Done Different, because all of these tools and the questions and having joy while you use the tools for big change is so different. It's such a different way of trying to find a conclusion, the right answer to how to do business, or modeling it after everyone else. It's like, what's your difference? What do you know? And enjoying that adventure of creation, which is so different.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful you brought it to the world.
Well, me too. And I'm so grateful for Gary Douglas, like, talking about this first off, because that was one of the first things that really attracted me to Access, was the way he spoke about business. Because I was just like, wow, I always knew it could be different, but no one else was talking like him, or no one else was choosing like him. And so, like I said at the beginning, he was the first person who didn't make me have this sense that I was going insane. It was like, no, he was empowering me to know what I know. And it's like, and here we are, and it changes all the time. So yeah. So please go check out accessjoybusiness.com. Also accessconsciousness.com. You can find the Business Done Different classes there. There's, a huge amount of amazing joy business facilitators around the world in different languages as well. It's a really great class. I mean, I love it. Business Done Different. You get this manual, and you get to
manual.
Yeah, manual. That's just yeah. And you get to really dive in deep, and and if you're willing just to go put everything down and go, all right, here we go, let's go, and dive in deep, and just find out what's next for you. As Em mentioned before, you don't need to have a company. It's not about that. I've had people say to me, oh, I am excuse me, I haven't been able to come to your business class because I don't have the prerequisites. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, I don't have a joy of business, so I don't have a company. And I'm like, you don't have to acknowledge you have a joy in business today. You don't have to have a company. As I say, if you've got blood running through your veins, you're in business, because your life is your business. It can be inspirational for you to start like tapping away at those creative ideas you have. If you're one of those people that's in the shower like me and come out and go, oh, I have this idea. Well, what if those ideas could start creating revenue streams? There's so many possibilities available. So please check that out. I myself have a Business Done Different class, which I'm really excited about, because it's live at Gary Douglas and Dane Here's ranch in Blyberville, Texas. It's also online if that's feels like the most impossible thing to get to. But it's so cool because you're surrounded by all the animals, the horses. The ranch is just like, wow.
Talk about a contribution. Yeah.
Yes.
Even if you're online, they receive the contribution of that land there. It's so unique.
You do. Different. Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm grateful for if you come, butts on seats, or, you don't have to wear pants if you're on a Zoom. That's up to you. It's your choice. But so it's in October, but check it out there on my website, simonemillicers.com/BDD ranch. And And like I said, please check out all the Droid business facilitators, as M is one too. I think you've got a class coming up too, don't you?
Yeah, I have a business done different in September. Mine's just online though. I don't have a lovely location, but in September.
No plans.
Exactly.
No, it's a choice, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. I love it though, because I'm like, I look like this. I've done all my stuff all morning, but I have my gym pants on because I'm going to work out afterwards, and my slippers on because it's still a little chilly here in Australia. And it's like, that's the look.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. So, Em, thank you so much for being here with me. I look forward to seeing you in Mexico because I'm off to Mexico. I'm off to Mexico to do Choice of Possibilities class soon in a couple of weeks. And we've got facilitators in Puerto Vallarta. That's where I get to see Em. And then, yeah.
Can I just say, you have a lot going on. So also you can just go to the Access Consciousness website and you have a whole little drop down that says classes with Simone. And then you get to see all you've got going on because you're all over the place, which is wonderful. You've got requests for other countries coming in the comments.
Yeah, she means that in the nicest possible way, that I'm all over the place. No.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, no. But you know what? If you are not actually, haven't had your bars run or have never, seen or heard of Access before, go check it out. Is this what you've been looking for? Is this what you've been asking for? Because there's like thousands and thousands of practitioners and facilitators around the world. So find whoever works for you as well. Choose for you. Okay. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.